So we'll see if on Monday the whole economic system collapses. That's kind of what's at stake. I hope Balaji is wrong in some ways. I kind of, again, some very dark side of me wouldn't mind seeing this like huge upheaval. I think it would be very scary and not fun for anybody, but that's why it's this 1%, kind of like curiosity of, oh man, what would happen if the dollar collapsed and there was no money? And I think
like an intrusive thought, maybe.
Say it again.
Like an intrusive thought, like what if?
Your mic is like low quality from what I can perceive. I can't understand any of the words you're saying.
I'm sorry. I was just saying it's like an intrusive thought that, what if that really did happen? The dollar collapsed and the world all fell apart, I guess.
Well, that's the question, right? And I think that the funny thing is nothing would really change. I think that we wouldn't be moving our homes. We wouldn't be. It sort of would be like wartime. In World War II, there was no money. Tanks were everywhere, but people still had food. People still, not a lot, obviously. There was rations, but the world did move on. It's not like everything dies if money dies. I've been saying for a long time that I think money will die at some point, and that we'll be valuing things using utility theory, where instead of fiat, we'll have either compute or energy or carbon or some kind of, like, it could be even something like joules, some form of energy, that'll sort of take over as a currency. And in some ways we're already seeing that happen. One of the funnier instantiations of currency is actually followers, which is, maybe a better way to generalize it is attention. But you've already seen people talk about followers as a currency. Oh, they have 10 million followers, or they have 20 million followers, or they have 1 million followers. That's something that's like almost valuable, not just from a monetary perspective, but other perspectives. And I've seen it myself with Twitter. When I'm on Twitter and people know I have a Twitter account, investors will approach me, women will approach me, friends I knew I had, friends I didn't know I had, all kinds of things like that. I'll get more information. When I'm banned from Twitter, I don't have any of those things. And so, like, we have this weird attention economy that is very real. That's sort of this, what Balaji calls a network state, I guess. But I think it is very real. And so these funny green pieces of paper, I don't think we're going to take us seriously in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years' time, especially with GPT 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the ability for us to sort of like create productivity out of thin air. There's this idea that, okay, well, if I want $1 million, why can't GPT 4 make it for me? Right? And somebody actually tried that, and somebody actually did. They put up this funny website that GPT 4 made for them, and they said, this is how we're going to make $1 million. And yeah, so what X in my chat room here is saying is the cost of everything is going to zero. Think about it, AI is very, very deflationary. And I think that, like, technology is deflationary, which was the whole point of my talk or speech or whatever you want to call these things that I gave on Wednesday for the D-Side New York community. That room was packed, by the way. Technology is deflationary in every possible sense. Let me actually pull up the speech I gave real quick. It wasn't very well done in terms of data, or in terms of presentation format, but here's a couple of the ways technology has changed or has become very deflationary. This is the price of compute over time. It's logarithmically dropped since 1940. But what's funny is between 1850 and 1940, the price of the compute stayed the same. So that was a 100-year local minima where the price of compute did not change because it was literally done by hand, right? And logarithms actually were one of the big inventions there. Log tables and the slide rule probably would have been productive there, but eventually that's sort of what ended up happening, is this massive decline in compute. Now, maybe there'll be another local minima because that's all we can get out of silicon, or that's all we can get out of transistors. And there are people working very hard to make sure that Moore's law will continue, but it could be wrong. Now, here's another example that I thought was really mind-opening. I've been studying microscopy lately, and you had these local minima in microscopy because of a lack of technology, and then the electron microscope, kind of came around and so forth. But the funny thing about microscope's resolving power is it fundamentally cannot achieve more resolving power over time. Now, I had to do a double take on that because I kind of smirked to myself and said, well, why not? Maybe we can see subatomic particles clearly. Maybe we can see quarks clearly. Maybe we can see whatever quarks are made of clearly. Maybe we can see Planck constant clearly someday. I don't know. I think that it boggles my mind to even think about it, but maybe that can continue as well. But I would think there going to be a lot of local minimum or an asymptote there where you just can't do any better. If you look at this bottom left one, this is the price of sending a message on the internet. This wasn't a very good data quality set, but you could see the deflation as well. Costs less and less to send gigabytes around the web. I used to stay up all day and all night downloading on FTP servers MP3 files, and it would take me sometimes hours and hours to download one album, but it was worth it, to me at least. This is the number of scientific publications, so this is an inflationary idea, but it's inflationary in terms of knowledge, which, if you think about the price of getting this knowledge as static, then it's really a deflationary concept, that the amount of knowledge pervading the world is the cost of that knowledge is declining extremely rapidly. This is the cost of sequencing a genome. That's dropped dramatically as well. So technology in general is obviously deflationary. We know that already. I wanted to highlight a couple of ideas here where you can have local minima due to fundamental constraints, or you could have asymptotes due to fundamental constraints. But the point is that technology inevitably will increase productivity over time, which reduces price. And we've had some goods that have increased in price over the last few decades, principally healthcare, which is something I know a lot about. Some people think I'm the problem for increasing the cost of healthcare, and of course that's nonsense. Why are some parts of society impervious to the benefits of technology? And here's a funny curve to start with, which is life expectancy. Everyone wants to live longer. It's literally the goal of everyone.